Pain is inevitable in life. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. But what you do with that pain is entirely up to you. You can either choose to let it define you, or you can choose to rise above it and push past it. The difference between people who live in mediocrity and people who accomplish great things is the latter. The ones who have accomplished great things, they embraced the pain and they pushed past it. The pain didn't go away, but they did. And that's exactly what I want you to do today. In today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you 6 steps that will help you push past pain and embrace the struggle. No. Acknowledge your pain. The first step to pushing past your pain is to acknowledge it. We've all heard the phrase, the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. And the same is true when it comes to pushing past pain. If you try to ignore your pain or pretend like it doesn't exist, it will only get worse, and it will only make it harder to move forward. So the first thing you need to do is acknowledge your pain. Accept that it's there, and allow yourself to feel it. Only then can you begin to heal and move on. To identify the source of your pain. Once you've acknowledged that you're in pain, the next step is to identify the source of that pain. What is it that's causing you to suffer? Is it a physical injury? Is it emotional pain from a broken relationship? Or maybe it's the stress and pressure of your job or school. Whatever it is, you need to get to the root of the problem so that you can address it properly. Sometimes the source of our pain is something we've been carrying around for a long time, something that we haven't dealt with properly and has festered into a bigger issue. Other times, the source of our pain is something that happened recently. Either way, it's important to identify the source of your pain so that you can take steps to heal. 3. Challenge your negative thoughts. When we're in pain, it's easy to start thinking negatively. We might start to believe that we're not good enough or that things will never get better. These negative thoughts can become self-fulfilling prophecies, meaning that we end up making our situation worse because of the way we think about it. For example, let's say you're in a lot of pain because of a recent breakup. You might start thinking things like, I'll never find anyone else who loves me, or I'm not attractive enough. These thoughts will only make you feel worse, and it will make it harder to move on. So it's important to challenge your negative thoughts and replace them with more positive and realistic ones. Is it really the end of the world? Will you really never find someone else? Probably not. Will you be okay if you don't get that promotion? Most likely yes. We often put ourselves through unnecessary pain by thinking the worst-case scenario is actually going to happen, when in reality, most of the time, it doesn't. So when you're feeling down, take a step back and challenge your negative thoughts. Ask yourself if they're really true and if they're helpful. Not, then let them go and focus on the positive. 4. Don't focus on the why. When we're going through a tough time, we often try to figure out why it's happening to us. We ask questions like, why did this happen to me? Or, why am I the only one going through this? When we focus on the why, we give ourselves the power to dwell in our pain. Instead, we should focus on what we can control, which is how we respond to the situation. As Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a moment. And in that moment, our growth and development as human beings lies. It isn't our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So instead of asking why, ask yourself, what can I do? Even if you don't have all the answers, even if it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, just keep moving forward. Trust that things will eventually get better. 5. Forgive yourself and others. When we're in pain, it's easy to hold on to grudges. We might blame ourselves for something that happened, or we might blame someone else. But holding on to grudges and resentment will only cause us more pain. We need to learn to forgive both ourselves and others. This doesn't mean that we condone what happened. It doesn't mean that we forget about what happened. It simply means that we choose to release the negative emotions associated with the event and move on. When we forgive, we're not doing it for the other person. We're doing it for ourselves. We're freeing ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment. And that's why forgiveness is so important. When we let go of our anger and resentment, we open ourselves up to healing. We allow ourselves to feel the full range of emotions again, including joy, love, and happiness. We also open ourselves up to new opportunities and experiences. When we're holding on to a grudge, we're closing ourselves off to the world. We're not open to new experiences or meeting new people. But when we forgive, we're setting ourselves free. We're allowing ourselves to live a life full of joy, love, and happiness. 6. Focus on what you can control. When we're in pain, it's easy to feel like everything is slipping away from us. We might lose control over our emotions, our relationships, and our lives in general. But the truth is, there are still some things that we can control. And focusing on these things can help us push through the pain. First, we can control our attitude. So no matter what is happening in our lives, we always have the power to choose how we respond. We can choose to focus on the positive, or we can choose to focus on the negative. But ultimately, it's our attitude that determines how we experience life. Second, we can control our actions. Just because we're in pain doesn't mean that we should just sit around and do nothing. In fact, taking action is one of the best ways to overcome pain. When we take action, we feel like we're in control of our lives again. We feel like we're not just sitting around waiting for things to happen to us. Finally, we can control our thoughts. Our thoughts have an incredible amount of power over our emotions and our behavior. When we focus on negative thoughts, we only make our pain worse. But when we focus on positive thoughts, we give ourselves the strength to push through the pain. So what can you control in your life right now? What can you focus on that will help you push through the pain? Write it down and make a plan. Then take action. By taking action, you'll feel like you're in control of your life again. And that's the first step to overcoming pain. I know that right now you may be going through a difficult time in your life. You may feel like you're in a lot of pain and that there is no hope for the future. But I want you to remember that you are stronger than you think, have the ability to push past your pain and create the life you want. The first step to doing this is acknowledging that you're in pain and allowing yourself to feel it. It may be difficult to admit that you're in pain, but it's important to remember that you're not alone. Everyone experiences pain at some point in their lives. The key is not to let the pain define you. Instead, use it as fuel to help you grow and become stronger. Embrace the struggle and know that it will pass. Remember that you are stronger than you think.